you for appearing before the committee today. Just a couple of questions. The first one is to Tracy O'Keefe. Tracy, the order of reference for this committee says that we should ensure safeguards against the sale and trafficking and exploitation of children. How do you think this is best achieved? So that's the first question. The second one is in relation to the authenticity of the DNA and the testing around that here in this country. And what happens when you can't have the surrogate mother present? What happens in that case? That's the second question. And the other question then is for the Department of Foreign Affairs. Maurice O'Connor on the Department of Health told this committee on the 7th of April the domestic prohibition on commercial surrogacy is predominantly based on ethical considerations relating to the welfare and commodification of the children involved, as well as the potential risks of coercion and exploitation of financially vulnerable women to act as surrogates. Does your department share this concern, and if so, why? Thank you.
Thank you, Senator. In relation to the first part of your question, in relation to safeguards, the processes that have been put in place by the Department of Foreign Affairs in relation to the procedures for the emergency travel certificate, the guidance document that was prepared by an interdepartmental group and published in 2012. The purpose of all and the processes that are required when a declaration of parentage application is made to the courts. The steps involved, the processes required, the documentation required. The purpose of all of that is to ensure the necessary safeguards for surrogate mothers, for children, to prevent as far as possible, to minimise as far as possible any risk of child trafficking or undesirable practices. That is the purpose of all of these procedures and safeguards, to ensure as far as possible that the documentation is in order. My colleagues in Foreign Affairs mentioned the stringent DNA testing that's required. It's required at the emergency travel certificate stage. The DNA evidence is also required to be presented to the court when an application for a declaration of parentage is made. So, as far as can be ensured, under the current legal framework, there are as many safeguards as we can reasonably put in place.
Okay, thank you. In relation to the surrogacy, if you can't get in contact with the surrogate mother in relation to consent, does somebody want to answer that? Siobhan, would that be?
Yeah, so I suppose the role of the Passport Service is to facilitate the issuance of a travel document following the necessary acts. So the process we follow which has been mentioned, is very robust, and that's to ensure that all parties are safeguarded in the process. But we wouldn't hold policy in relation to any elements of the process. We are facilitators of the issuance of a travel document, and that's our primary concern, and to make sure that, as I say, all parties are safeguarded, and that's achieved through the robustness of the process that is actually followed.
So if the surrogate, if the father cannot contact the surrogate mother or her potential husband, for how long then does that stay in place? Let's say if she can't, for a couple of years, does that mean that the ETC can't be got?
So I suppose that's a very particular scenario, which I'm not actually sure has ever been encountered. I looked at I don't think we've ever actually encountered that scenario, but we would look at cases on a case-by-case basis. But as I say, that's something that has never actually been encountered. So I couldn't provide an answer to say how that would be dealt with.
Okay, that's fine.
I might just say that DFA wouldn't encounter every single international surrogacy case, because we only deal with cases where the child needs an ETC from the Irish authorities. So there are jurisdictions where the child can get a passport locally in the country where they are born, and this may arise in those such cases. But in terms of our process, the consent of the surrogate mother and her husband, if necessary, is absolutely crucial to the process.
Okay, thank you.
And you had a third question, Senator, is that right?
It was the Maurice O'Connor's, the Department of Health. Do you share his concern in relation to what he said here before the committee on the 7th of April? The quotation was, the domestic prohibition on commercial surrogacy is predominantly based on ethical considerations relating to the welfare and the commodification of the children involved, as well as the potential risk of coercion and exploitation of financially vulnerable women to act as surrogates. And just does your department share this concern?
So our concerns are focused on the issuance of the travel document and all the parties concerned. So the process that we follow involves meeting all of the parties involved, including that the surrogate mother attend for the DNA and that she seek her own legal advice and various other steps. So they are the protections that are put in place for, all, as I say, all of the parties, and I think that shows the importance of the process that we do actually follow.
Okay. Thank you.